If early in my career I pick one area to specialise in and start grinding straight away at my 10,000 hours, pretty soon I'll be an expert. And from there, I'll be flying. My career will just be up and up and up. Right? What is going on? I'm Liam, an engineering manager here in the UK, and I am here with some more advice on how to get your engineering career off to the best start. In my early career, I made a point of building up key skills in fundamental engineering disciplines. Initially, I was trained strictly as a mechanical engineer, milling, turning, hand fitting, and all of those skills I was able to put to use in my first engineering placement in the systems integration team. It was complex work building water quality monitoring systems. It was intricate pipe bending, determining layouts, installing of instruments, and understanding the mountains of paperwork associated with the systems. The team was made up of mainly older people that all had years of experience in specialised areas, but I'd noticed that they rather neglected to comprehend areas outside of their small niche. Once you get past the mechanical aspects, there's so much more involved in these systems. The power distribution for the services like air conditioning, lighting, there are control systems with relay logic, alarms, digital and analog inputs and outputs, all combined to give the final system. Around this time, I came across an author called David Epstein and his book Range, as well as his TED talk that he did that I will link in the description below. David has done extensive research into specialising in many different domains. His initial interest came from sport, with the classic case study that is Tiger Woods, shown at 7 months old holding his first golf club. His journey to being a professional golfer is well documented. He is a classic case of hard grind for the 10,000 hours to become a true expert in golf. Despite all of his research, David doesn't agree that picking an early specialty and getting that head start onto your 10,000 hours is the key to future success. Instead, what he found with many other sports stars is that they had a sampling period so they could get a feel for exactly what they wanted to do. They had the opportunity to try many different sports, football, tennis, golf, rugby, and then they come to the conclusion that actually this is the sport I really like and this is what I want to dedicate myself to. And he found that those sports stars were the ones that really reached the elite in most cases. He also then goes on to discuss two different types of learning environments. A kind learning environment where everything is very structured, something like school where you have clear path, clear progression, and the whole structure is outlined right from the onset. The other is a wicked learning environment where there is no obvious next move and you have information changing all the time, coming at you from different angles, and you have to be able to adapt to that information as it comes. As the world changes, we're becoming far more akin to this wicked learning environment, with technology adapting at a rate that has never before been seen. Because of this, we have to become far more adaptable in our careers. In 10 years, when we go to change jobs, we could be moving into a role that does not yet exist, in an industry that does not yet exist. So how are we supposed to gain the training for that specific job? One of the easiest ways to become more adaptable, and an approach that I have tried to apply in my career, is to become what I like to call a professional generalist engineer. I made a point to try and learn the electrical and control aspects when I was in the systems integration team. I would spend time with all the different engineers and be sure to take in all the information that they were able to give to me about their little niches, and that also enabled me to take key points, maybe not related to their niche, but related to learning in general or soft skills from each of them, and then put that into practice in my own career. Robert Greene, in his book Mastery, talks about the cycle of accelerated returns. When you first start learning something, it can be difficult, but if you persevere, eventually you start to pick up a bit of skill. That makes practice a bit easier, which makes practice more enjoyable, which means you practice for longer, so you increase your skill, and you begin that cycle again, with practice becoming easier. When I moved on from the systems integration team, all these skills I learned were invaluable in my next role within the engineering team. I was designing tools, fixtures, jigs, and I was able to incorporate elements of my mechanical skills and my newfound electrical and control system skills to make these fixtures the best they could be. Although my understanding of the electrics and control systems was only basic at the beginning, because I'd made a point to learn all of these, when the manager of the engineering department decided that he wanted to introduce more automation into the factory, my understanding of all the different areas made me a perfect candidate for undertaking this new push for automation. After plenty of training and lots of failed experiments, I began as part of a small team to integrate automated solutions into the factory. Soon after this, I was responsible for commissioning the first inbuilt automated machinery that the factory had ever seen. On reflection of these projects, I realised not only was I becoming a multi-skilled engineer, but I was also accidentally learning how to learn. I'd become like a sponge for absorbing information from senior and more experienced people. I was willing to take on new challenges because I had experience picking up these new skills. I was no longer afraid to experiment, and I was confident in the strong foundation and basic engineering fundamental skills that I'd built up already. This continued into the future. When I was responsible for leading larger projects, I was able to facilitate cross-departmental and cross-functional conversations because I had a good, solid understanding of all of the aspects. Maybe I wasn't the most technical in any one area, but I could bring these people together and allow them to communicate with each other openly and honestly, and I could be the middleman for conveying information. I could then set clear tasks, goals, and direction, and let the experts focus on the intricate details that allowed the products and the projects to flourish. Starting myself on this path as a professional generalist engineer set me apart from my peers. Whilst it may have taken me longer to prove my worth than others who had focused in one area and almost made themselves irreplaceable, the generalist approach springboarded me into management and more responsible roles, and this has allowed me to continue my upward trajectory where others have plateaued. Click here to see what is the best way to start your career in engineering. Well, it's a wrap.